Vivian Vance was born Vivian Roberta Jones on July 26, 1909, in the small town of Cherryvale, Kansas. Raised in a conservative and deeply religious household, she grew up in an environment where practical expectations often outweighed artistic ambition. Yet, even as a young girl, she felt drawn to performance. Music and acting were not simply hobbies for her, they were lifelines. Despite her mother's strong objections, Vivian pursued drama with determination, eventually studying under the respected Eva Le Gallienne. That training sharpened her instincts and refined her stage presence. She later moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she immersed herself in local theater. Those early years were formative, filled with small roles, long rehearsals, and the quiet persistence of someone who knew she belonged on stage. The Midwest upbringing gave her resilience, but it was her artistic fire that propelled her forward. Broadway beckons. The move to New York City in the 1930s changed everything. Broadway was the ultimate proving ground, and Vivian embraced it fully. She appeared in productions such as Anything Goes and The Voice of the Turtle, building a reputation as a gifted comedic actress with sharp timing and emotional intelligence. She wasn't merely reciting lines, she was living inside them. Critics began to take notice of her expressive face and natural rhythm. In 1937, she stepped into the Broadway musical Hooray for What, succeeding Kay Thompson in the cast. It was a demanding role, and Vivian proved she could hold her own. Then came Let's Face It in 1941, a Cole Porter musical that ran for 547 performances. That success solidified her standing in the theatre community. By the early 1940s, she was no longer an aspiring actress. She was a working professional with real acclaim. A shift toward Hollywood. Though Broadway remained her foundation, Vivian was curious about film. The late 1940s brought her west to California, where she sought new opportunities. She appeared in The Secret Fury, 1950, portraying a streetwise chambermaid with grit and humanity. The following year, she took on a role in The Blue Veil, 1951, again demonstrating her range. Critics praised her for bringing depth to supporting characters. Still, Hollywood did not immediately offer her the leading roles she might have hoped for. The transition from stage to screen can be unforgiving, and Vivian faced the challenge head-on. She adjusted her performance style, softened theatrical gestures, and learned to let the camera capture subtler emotion. While her film career never reached the heights of some contemporaries, she earned respect as a dependable and thoughtful actress. It was television, however, that would change her life forever. Becoming Ethel Mertz. In 1951, Vivian Vance was cast as Ethel Mertz on I Love Lucy, opposite Lucille Ball. It was a role that would define her legacy. As Ethel, she was the perfect counterbalance to Lucy Ricardo's wild schemes. Where Lucy was impulsive, Ethel was practical. Where Lucy exaggerated, Ethel grounded the scene. Their chemistry was undeniable. Off-screen, Vivian and Lucille shared a friendship that was layered but enduring. They occasionally disagreed. Two strong personalities inevitably would, but mutual respect carried them through. In 1954, Vivian won the first Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, making history. Ethel Mertz was not just a sidekick. She was a fully realized character with wit, loyalty, and heart. Vivian brought authenticity to the role, proving that supporting characters could be just as essential and memorable as the leads. A complicated personal life. Behind the laughter, Vivian's personal life was often turbulent. She was married 4 times and her early relationships were marked by strain and incompatibility. Her third marriage, to actor Philip Ober, lasted 18 years and reportedly became deeply troubled. Friends later suggested that jealousy and resentment over Vivian's success contributed to tension at home. While she rarely spoke publicly about her private struggles, those close to her sensed the emotional toll. Divorce in 1959 marked a painful but necessary turning point. In 1961, she married literary agent John Dodds. This final marriage brought stability and companionship. The couple settled in Connecticut before eventually relocating to California. With Dodds, Vivian found a quieter, more supportive partnership. After years of emotional turbulence, she experienced a sense of peace that had long eluded her. It was a late but meaningful chapter in her personal journey. The tension with William Frawley. One of the most discussed aspects of Vivian's career was her strained relationship with co-star William Frawley, who played Fred Mertz. On screen, they portrayed a bickering but affectionate couple. Off-screen, their dynamic was more complicated. Frawley was older, set in his ways, and known for a blunt personality. Vivian, trained in theatre and committed to rehearsal, valued preparation and precision. Their working styles clashed. Early reports suggest she was initially unhappy about being paired romantically with someone much older, and Frawley did not appreciate hearing such concerns. Over time, professional differences hardened into personal distance. Still, despite tension, both remained consummate professionals during filming. The magic audiences saw was real in its execution, even if the camaraderie was not. Television history is filled with co-stars who did not get along, yet created unforgettable chemistry. Vivian and Frawley were no exception. Professionalism above personal feelings. What makes the story remarkable is not the conflict itself, but the discipline both actors showed. Week after week, they delivered performances that felt effortless. Comedy requires timing, trust, and collaboration. Whatever personal disagreements existed, they did not sabotage the show's quality. That professionalism speaks volumes about Vivian's dedication to her craft. She understood that millions of viewers tuned in for laughter, not backstage tension. Over the years, stories about mutual irritation were amplified and dramatized. Some alleged remarks attributed to either actor remain unverified and likely exaggerated. What is clear is that their working relationship was functional, if not warm. They respected the importance of the project. Even when CBS explored the possibility of a spin-off centered on the Mertzes, negotiations faltered partly because neither actor was eager to extend the partnership. Still, the legacy of their performances endures. Later years and health struggles. After I Love Lucy, Vivian continued working with Lucille Ball on The Lucy Show. Eventually, she stepped away from regular television appearances and pursued occasional film projects, including a role in Blake Edwards' The Great Race, 1965. Though she hoped the film might reignite her movie career, it did not lead to major new opportunities. In her later years, Vivian focused more on personal interests and community involvement. Health challenges began to surface in the 1970s. She suffered strokes and was later diagnosed with breast cancer. Treatment options at the time were limited compared to modern medicine. Despite declining health, she remained gracious and engaged with close friends. Lucille Ball visited her near the end of her life, and their farewell was reportedly heartfelt. Even in illness, Vivian displayed the quiet strength that had carried her through decades in entertainment. The final curtain. Vivian Vance passed away on August 17, 1979, at the age of 70. Her death from metastatic breast cancer marked the loss of one of television's pioneering comedic actresses. She spent her final years in Belvedere, California, living as peacefully as circumstances allowed. Those who knew her described her as warm, intelligent, and deeply sensitive. Though she endured personal struggles and professional tensions, she also experienced triumphs that reshaped television history. Her Emmy win, her groundbreaking portrayal of a strong comedic woman, and her enduring partnership with Lucille Ball secured her place in entertainment history. Fans continue to discover her work through reruns, where Ethel Mertz remains as lively and lovable as ever. Vivian's life reminds us that behind every iconic character stands a human being, complex, resilient, and striving for connection. Her laughter lives on, echoing through generations.